friends? Okay. So, on this side, representing people of a more liberal nature, we've got Graham Olson, Michael LaVolpe, and Kate Calder. The Republicans, on this side, we've got Nathan Nottingham, Allison Miller, and Mohammed Ali Hassan. All right. Yeah. Should Colorado legalize gay marriage?
That's enough.
Here we go, guys.
Yes or no questions. Here we go, guys.
Yeah. Y'all. All right, I think that we should absolutely legalize gay marriage. I mean, for starters, they're equal. 3/4 of Americans believe that gays should have the same rights as everyone else. But, you know, less than half of them actually believe that we should legalize gay marriage. And I think part of it is the stereotypical homosexual in people's minds. I mean, they see a person that, you know, has, you know, just sex-based relationships, things like that, where in reality, they're the same as anyone else. They really are. And, I'm sorry. I don't talk well in front of a crowd.
It's okay. It's okay. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Thank you, dear. Let's see. Let me pull up my notes. You know, homosexuality isn't a lifestyle choice. It's a chemical difference in your brain, and I don't think we should penalize anyone for that. It's the same as, you know, the color of your skin. I mean, as of 1967, interracial marriage was illegal. It wasn't until Loving versus Virginia that the Supreme Court actually overturned the interracial marriage ban. And the Supreme Court said, and I have it written down. I take notes.
Simpatico.
Thank you. Marriage is one of the basic civil rights of man, fundamental to our very existence and survival. Under our Constitution, the freedom to marry or not marry another person of another race resides with the individual and cannot be infringed by the state. So how in good conscience can we deny that to a person? In the 60s, the issue was black versus white. Now it's gay versus straight. Even Mrs. Loving of Loving versus Virginia recently wrote a statement. I'll talk about that later.
Thank you very much, Republicans.
So I get to be the bad guy and say, absolutely not. I want to be very clear on a point that I am not some hate monger who hates gays.
Homosexuals.
I just don't believe we should call it marriage. No homosexual can claim the right of marriage because marriage is, by definition, a union between one man and one woman. And
let her speak.
Okay,
please.
just let me hear me out. Okay.
We're all friends.
Society cannot survive with heterosexual couples. The point of marriage and the reason that it's protected by the federal government, given certain benefits, is because married couples produce offspring. They are a benefit to society. Married couples are more productive at work. They're stabler in the community. And homosexual couples, and I don't want to single out as just that, but it's also couples who are not married, who are just shacking up together, are not provided those rights either. And to say to a same-sex couple, you can have these rights, I believe is wrong. And there's many towns out there right now who are giving rights to these same-sex partners, allowing them to share medical benefits under the same medical insurance plan. They're extending other rights, and there's other options available, such as creating a solid and binding will to leave your estate, to have a advance directive so that your partner can be in the hospital with you in your time of need. There's other options. It doesn't have to be marriage. There's no social outcry to, just as Kate herself pointed out, there's no social outcry to say, yes, these people can be married. Married is different than a civil union. It just is.
Thank you very much.
You know, I personally have no problem with the language. I realize a lot of people do, and I respect that. What's most important to me is is that there be something in place to recognize the commitment that these people are willing to make, just like everybody else. I mean, considering the pretty much pathetic divorce rates among the hetero community, I think anybody who is willing, you know, you're talking about people who have been together for 40, 50 years who are homosexuals, and I think anybody who's willing to make that commitment ought to be able to have those benefits when their partner is sick, when their partner is dying. You know, I mean, I think that is really messing with the fundamental things about human interaction. And
30 seconds.
And I guess the real key is, I mean, it's a form of racism. I mean, we've decided that you cannot treat a person differently based on the color of their skin. You cannot treat a person differently based on their religion. But you can treat a person differently based upon their sexual orientation. How is that any different than any other form of racism that we've decided is just wrong in society? And then by whose definition is marriage a man and a woman? I mean, marriage, in my opinion, is two people committing to each other.
And those are all very good
Thank you very
points.
much.
What I would say to you is that a marriage is defined by society as between a man and a woman, overwhelming majority of American citizens. We're not talking about judges who are sitting on the bench and legislating from the bench, which is also wrong. We're talking about people who we live among who are saying marriage is between a man and a woman. And I don't think it's discrimination, because there is no scientific evidence to prove that it is something that's a chemical imbalance in the brain. Being in a same-sex relationship is a choice that you make, and marriage is not inherently a benefit that comes with that choice. And my biggest fear is that their studies have shown that children who are raised by homosexuals in these relationships are 4 times more likely to experiment in homosexuality and or become homosexuals themselves. That scares me. It sounds, as somebody I was talking to bouncing ideas off today, it sounds a bit like a recruiting tactic for these people to say, oh sure, let's have these people raise children. And I just don't think that's right. I think that children deserve, and you can pick on me all you want.
Time is up. Time is up.
I just pictured like a march.
30 seconds for closing on the left.
Homosexuality is not a lifestyle choice. In 2005, the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden actually did an experiment where they collected sweat from males and females and had males and females of both sexual orientation sniff them. And actually, I know, as gross as that sounds, the finding found that straight women and homosexual men were aroused by the pheromones in the men's sweat, but were not by the pheromones in the women's sweat. That's a chemical difference. It's not a lifestyle choice.
Thank you. All right, time is up. Closing on the Republican side. Go.
The main reason I'm against gay marriage is because of Graham. And let me explain. By saying gay marriage is legal, we're indirectly allowing polygamy to also be legal. So we'll let Graham go out, marry 10 women, and then and 10 men. He'd have 20 spouses, and we'd all have to pay for their health care. So I don't support that. I don't want to. Well, yeah, if you were a government employee, we'd be paying for their insurance. So I don't support that. But if you can find, I support giving them rights of couples.
Mr.
So I don't think gay marriage is the right way to do it.
I think it's pretty easy to regulate.
We're moving on to the next subject. Thank you, both sides. That was a very educational debate.
I know.
All right.